In the sun-drenched, deceptively serene world of Euphoria, where every character is grappling with the tumult of adolescence under a harsh digital glare, Nate Jacobs stands as a particularly terrifying monument to modern masculinity in crisis. To understand Nate is to look past the chiseled jawline, the captain of the team status, and the imposing physique that marks him as the archetypal high school alpha male. These are not signs of strength, but the desperate, meticulously crafted armor for a psyche that is shattered, a fragile ego constantly on the verge of collapse. His story is a brutal documentary of how trauma, repression, and a toxic blueprint of manhood can twist a person into becoming both a victim and a perpetrator in a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. The central, tragic paradox of Nate is that his hyper-masculinity, his need to project an image of absolute control, dominance, and heteronormative perfection, is not a sign of power but the exact opposite. It is a flimsy shield, a loud performance designed to silence the whispering chaos within him, a chaos seeded in childhood and nurtured by the expectations of the world around him. The roots of this performance lie buried in the hidden files on his father's computer. A young Nate's accidental discovery of Carl Jacobs' secret life, the videos of anonymous sexual encounters with men, many of them featuring individuals who were barely adults, was a foundational trauma that violently corrupted his understanding of love, sex, power, and identity. This wasn't just seeing something inappropriate, it was a world-shattering event that linked sexuality with shame, secrecy, and domination. His father, the man who was supposed to model masculinity, presented a devastating contradiction, a publicly stern, traditional family man whose private life was a realm of hidden, often predatory, queer desire. Nate internalized this dissonance as the ultimate rule: vulnerability, authentic desire, any fluidity outside of a rigid, aggressive heterosexuality is a fatal weakness that must be locked away. His entire persona becomes a violent rejection of his father's hidden self, which he perceives as weak and disgusting, even as he unconsciously mirrors Cal's controlling and manipulative tactics. The hatred he feels for his father is inextricably tangled with a fear of the similar urges he might sense within himself, a self-loathing he can never confront directly. So, he builds the perfect facade to wall it all off. This facade is engineered with terrifying precision. Nate's masculinity is performative, a constant series of actions meant to prove a point. He is the star athlete, commanding the football field, a space where physical aggression is celebrated and channeled through strict rules. He seeks control over every aspect of his life and the lives of those around him, especially women. His relationship with Maddy is a masterclass in abusive control. He is obsessively possessive, isolating her, emotionally manipulating her, and eventually physically assaulting her, all while framing it as intense passion. He crafts a narrative of their love that is cinematic and domineering, because in that narrative, he is the director and the hero. His pursuit of Cassie, initially presented as a rescue, quickly reveals itself as another avenue for control, exploiting her vulnerability to fulfill a fantasy and to further manipulate the social circle around Maddy. With Jules, his behavior is at its most complex and sinister. His initial catfishing of her as Shy Guy 18 is a horrifying reenactment of his father's voyeurism, but with a cruel, controlling twist. He is simultaneously drawn to her transness, perhaps seeing in her a courage to embrace a fluid identity that he violently denies within himself, and repulsed by that same attraction. His interactions with her are a mess of threat, coercion, and a twisted form of recognition. He cannot relate to anyone authentically. Every interaction is a power play, a move in a game where losing control means the entire facade might crumble and expose the scared, traumatized boy inside. The tools of his control are modern and brutal. He weaponizes sexuality, using it as a means of domination rather than connection. He weaponizes secrets, holding the truth about his father, about his interactions with Jules, about his violence over others like a sword. Most damningly, he weaponizes the very language of trauma and accusation. When faced with exposure, he does not show vulnerability, he goes on the offensive, crafting alternative narratives where he is the victim. He frames Tyler for his own assault on Maddy, showing a chilling aptitude for manipulating the justice system. He twists situations to make Jules or others seem unstable or predatory. This is the ultimate ego defense, not just to hide the truth, but to actively destroy and rewrite reality to fit his narrative of dominance. His physicality is also a constant threat. His fights, his aggressive posturing, his towering presence are all part of the performance. But the cracks are always visible, and that's what makes him so compelling. The moments of pure, unadulterated rage, screaming at his reflection, punching holes in walls, his face contorted in a pain that goes beyond anger, are where the performance fails. In these bursts, we see not a powerful man, but a terrified child trapped in a muscular body, lashing out because he has no other language for his pain. The hypermasculine shell cannot contain the storm inside. It can only try to redirect it outward onto others. Nate Jacobs, therefore, is not a monster born in a vacuum. He is a Frankenstein's monster, patched together from the rotting pieces of his father's double life, the societal pressure to be a real man, and the adolescent fear of being different. His story is a cautionary tale about the cost of this particular brand of masculinity. It shows that the need to dominate, to control, to project invincibility, is ultimately a sign of profound weakness and fear. The facade is exhausting to maintain, requiring constant vigilance and violence. It leaves him profoundly isolated, incapable of genuine love or friendship, and perpetually at war with himself and the world. In the end, Nate's journey is a tragic documentary of a boy trying to build a fortress around his broken heart, not realizing that the walls themselves are what keep him imprisoned. He mistakes the fortress for strength, but everyone watching can see it for what it is, a prison of his own making, where the loudest echoes are those of his own unspoken terror and the quiet, haunting click of a mouse from a childhood discovery that broke him. His is the story of what happens when a person is taught that the only acceptable form of feeling is rage, and the only way to be safe is to make everyone else afraid. It is a cycle of pain begetting pain, a lesson written in bruises and secrets, proving that the hardest, most aggressive exterior often hides the most fragile, shattered interior.